Okay, thank you very much. We can stop. Please, Shibakawa-sensei.
Good morning.
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 Good morning. This is Hiroko Shibakawa. I am the assistant professor at ESD Promotion Center, Faculty of Education, Okayama University. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we will have the third webinar through this year. And in this time, we would like to explore the possible research discussions and themes that we can implement from next year. So before we start, I would like to shortly present the kind of reflection about our webinars. So may I share my slides now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, or is this okay?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So let me briefly introduce our university in case there is participants from different countries for the first time, maybe. Am I correct? Is there any new participants from this time? Kido-san?
Yes, from Egypt, I think 2 or 3. I saw two, maybe new. Yes, please. Please go ahead.
Okay. So we are, I'm sorry, my phone links. We're located in Okayama City, Okayama Prefecture. And we have a large campus near the city center, which is rich in history, culture, and nature. And it has been selected as one of the top global universities in Japan. And in recent years has been mostly highly regarded for its commitment to ESD and SDGs. Okay. And in addition, Okayama City is known as a world leader in ESD, Education for Sustainable Development, and in particular, the Okayama ESD project, in which schools and community learning centers work well together, has been recognized as Okayama model of ESD. So we have many social education facilities like museums, but nationwide, kominkans in Okayama City have been attracting attention for their ESD, and Okayama University has been supporting them through training for social education directors. So the mission of ESD Promotion Center here is to support the ESD activities of schools, communities, and community learning centers through training of in-service teachers and development of teaching materials on ESD, and most importantly, training of pre-service teachers who can implement ESD at schools with the local communities. So in this context, the UNESCO World Conference on ESD was held in Okayama City in 2014. And one of the main pillars of the conference was the Global Conference on Community Learning Center, Kominkan. This was a conference that Mr. Abdel Miguel and I were attending at the time, and Dr. Oyasu, he's coming later, was also the member of steering committees of this conference. So coincidentally, after the conference, Okayama commitment was submitted to the United Nations, and in that document, it is promised that we will promote ESD in kominkans in collaboration with schools. And later on, we developed an academic interest, and in 2019, we also coordinated the social education session at the Global Conference on Teacher Education for ESD that which Mr. Abdel-Migid was invited to share his practice too. And since then, we have also been able to organize 3 ESD lectures in 2020 titled Dialogue Between Japan and Egypt, Advancing ESD in the Local Community. So in these lectures, Professor Fuji presented his experience on teacher education for sustainability, and Professor Oyasu shared his expertise on kominkan for creation of sustainable society. And I finally presented one model case to implement ESD with whole community approach. And we concluded an MOU in February last year. And since then, we have formed a small but diverse team of teachers with similar interests in our faculties with a variety of disciplines and areas of expertise. And this year, the first year of the project, we organized a webinar series to learn about the situation of social education and teacher education and ESD, GED in both countries, and raise questions and explore our research topics through discussion. So the first one was held on the 17th of January, and this is a very important question that Ain Shams University suggested. So how do we motivate teachers to be students to engage in extra learning, like community development activities or ESD? So this was a very important question for us too. And the question that we also have to address, and we thought it would be a good idea to collaborate with each other in our research. And in the second webinar was held on 21st February, Dr. Hazem's lecture shared his thoughts and philosophies on teacher education and kindly talked about the possibilities and challenges in promoting learning in and with the community, which the Faculty of Education of Ain Shams University is trying to address. From the case studies, we learned that we can learn from both sides, even in the COVID-19 era. And for both sides, it was understood that teacher education utilizing community learning center is a difficult, tough, but meaningful ESD, GCED task. So in today's third session, we will once again reflect on our work in Egypt and once again discuss what we have learned from the previous webinars and the remaining questions, and consider the challenges and possibilities for social and teacher education in promoting ESD and GCED, as well as the role of social education in society in the future. So I hope to be able to do so. And even though I am not very good at facilitation, but please do not hesitate to ask me any questions about the implementation of ESD in Okayama University and other social education things in Okayama side. And I am very looking forward to today's meaningful discussion. Thank you very much. That's all about us.
Thank you very much, Shibakawa Sensei. We will now move for the next part, which is actually what Dr. Shibakawa mentioned, a kind of reflection on the Egyptian kominkan model. I had the honor to present it last time in the second webinar, as Dr. Shibakawa mentioned, together with Professor Hazem's presentation at that time. I will give a brief, since many people are not attending this time, so I was asked to give another brief about this model to be a kind of starting point together with other questions and other discussions that happened during the last meetings and webinars. So if you allow me, I will share my screen. Okay, I will make it briefly, very brief. So I will I will move into the slides and explain the model. this model, we call it Ta model. Ta is a third letter in Arabic language. It's a kind of smile face. And all the pillars of our model start by this T or Ta letter. It's a suggested model for social learning in Egypt in light of Japanese Kominkan experience. Let me move regarding the Egyptian context. Of course, Egypt, as you know, is blessed with many of things. We don't have a problem of resources. We have many good resources, but it's maybe our main challenge is coordination and cooperation to utilize these resources. We have some major challenges in the adult education area and in the non-formal education. For us in Egypt, adult education is and literacy is the main concept and the main concept in Egypt, and lifelong learning is still not understood or implemented so much in Egypt. We also care so much about the formal education and tests and exams, and the non-formal education. It exists in many of our in many facilities, but again, no coordination, and it's not working in a unified umbrella. The traditional culture actually of Egypt, some of the idioms says that when you grow up, you don't have to learn. Learning is only at school. The point of the top-down communication versus the down-top and cross-communication. Also, the challenge of is it government fund or it's private and community fund? Mainly the private and community fund, it's religion-based funding, not and the government fund also it's specific in some places, and it's not also covering the area of non-formal and part of adult education, but not all the rest of the lifelong learning concept. Also the learning to know versus learning to be and to do and to live, and again transform oneself and others. I will move directly to the our model. This program actually might cross-cut with today's discussion in many themes. It's about involving three partners: the Faculty of Education, which is a program we did with JICA volunteers working in Egypt. So it's an international partner represented voluntary by the JICA volunteers working in Egypt. You can see on the screen. And the Community Service Center, which is one of the faculty special units in Faculty of Education, Ain Shams University. And we did this in 2019, and all of those are researchers, students in the faculty. We did some programs for introducing Japanese style education in the weekends, Fridays, Saturdays, and we asked them to bring all of their kids. So it's a kind of answering a little bit of Shibakawa-san question earlier, how we can motivate the people to come. That was a very successful event. I will speak about our model itself quickly because we don't have time. Our model main pillar is, of course, it's learning. It is targeting the lifelong learning concept. So our main thing is learning continuously. We build our models based on the win-win concept. We don't want a teacher and a student way of teaching, but we want all the community members participating in this model to win both sides and to have a mutual cooperation, mutual benefit, mutual learning, mutual understanding, etc. Cooperation, as I told you, we don't have a problem of resources in Egypt. We have many places, can be a Kominkan or a community learning centers. We have many We have many human capital. We have also wide places. We have plenty of time. We have many resources, but from our point of view, at our model, that cooperation is and coordination between members. It's the main challenge for us. Also, to link this model with the action and not only the learning for exams or certificate, and to for a learning that actually its results affect the community and improve it, and also it might be a kind of startup, social entrepreneur, something that we can benefit for the participants and for the community itself, that present a value, social value, or any other value. To do this, to make our model become true, we created a kind of platform to link Japanese Kominkan with Egyptian Kominkan for now, maybe in the future with other community learning centers around the globe. We call it Global Kominkan. This is also a cross-cut with GCED way of thinking. This Global Kominkan we created in 2014, before the COVID era, to link the people online for mutual benefits. We say that the Kominkan, the local Kominkan, the normal Kominkan, the normal community learning center serve citizens from the local community, but the global Kominkan deal with the global citizens around the globe, and they can gather to discuss common problems, learn from each other's, commit to do some actions in their local community based on international experience. For the Egyptian Kominkan, as you know, the Japanese Kominkan, the Japanese Community Learning Center, it's Gather, Learn, Connect, but we decided to add two more pillars, which is Cooperate and Act in our model. The model, as you can see, it's a triangle or pyramid style. We are targeting mainly the youth, the young people, teachers, whatever their profession is, to be social coordinators and to work also in linking communities together, these communities in Egypt or outside Egypt, through translation and interpreting. This is the main target. We have a Japanese partner, NPO Ichimanin, 10,000 people, and some other partners. So those two are supporting each other to provide a learning experience to the rest of the community, which is on the right-hand side of the triangle, the trainees or the participants or the people who will benefit the activities and the learning opportunities at the Kominkan. And those people are, of course, not limited to youth, but it's all from birth, from early childhood till senior citizen. We decided this model to not be an official governmental or NPO or non-governmental facility, but we, since our main target is the youth, and after 2011, it became very wide spread that the concept of entrepreneur, startup, many young people started to move and to think and to create more ideas that can actually become their own job and become their own, they create their own income through entrepreneur. So we decided our model to be a startup enterprise, LLC, under the investment law 152. Investment law, it's normal company, paying taxes, have all the official thing, as it provides for now, it provides three service, training, interpreting, and purchasing, because we think that we can, from the startup, we can create some products that can be sold for a kind of economic value that can support the management of the Kominkan. So these three activities are the main three activities for now. So it's, as I said, it's official status is LLC. It provides training, translation, and general purchasing. It covers all over Egypt. Venue, it's a rental apartment. It's a small learning space in Dokki. Dokki is in Giza Governorate in the Cairo, the capital, the great Cairo capital. It's a middle-class, busy city area with many young people coming and going through this area for educational center, for co-working spaces, for schools, for universities, for sporting club. It's very, very close to downtown. Also, Dokki has a metro line very close to the underground line, so easy access. We have three partners on this company, and also we have a kind of a committee, advisory committee, to run and to advise us what to do. This advisory management board for TAA include some of TAA members, three the owning members of the company. We have 2 members of the local community near the center. People are living close and they are very much interested in lifelong learning and many in our activities. People participated in our activities and they want to raise their commitment more, so they are with us. We have 8 members from TAA team, some of them with different background. They are school principal, teacher, work in the Ministry of Education, Japanese school teachers, Japanese language interpreters, JICA projects, university teaching assistant, laboratory doctor, tour guide, and company owner. Those are the advisory board of our board. The advisory board is for managing the Egyptian Kominkan, discuss planning activities, accounting, support the promotion, and spread the model and connecting with various partners. The 5 pillars, this is an actual definition from our side, but we still are improving it. Learn in general, connect is connecting people and communities. This is like Japan. Learn is providing learning experiences. The gather is providing a gathering space that can be a place for discussion and putting a basis of lifelong learning together for a learning community. Cooperate, it's cooperation, the culture of cooperation, how we do a system, cooperation to be a system in our all our communication and our activities. Action, it's related, as I told you, to the entrepreneur and transforming our learning into something that we can benefit. This is some findings, some impacts also. As you see, we are not limited to an age. We do something, mainly we do something with our hands. This was in Ain Shams University doing origami with many happy. You can see the adults are happier than the kids. You can see from the face. Preparing a kendama for a Japan Day. Kendama, it's also a product. This is one of our events outside the Kominkan with the local community nearby sports club. That's Dr. Hazem, despite he's very far, living far, the other side of the city, but he came for us in Giza to join and participate. And this is a very good evidence of the cooperation between Kominkan and the Faculty of Education. And that's the end of our model. Thank you for listening, and I'll pass the mic to Dr. Shibakawa.
Thank you very much for sharing your great expertise and experience, Guido-san. First of all, I would like to ask the floor to have, maybe they have some questions for you. Is that okay?
Sure, please. And also I have Manal-san and Basan-san. They are from their team today. They can also answer with me.
Oh, yes, thank you. じゃあ、日本の先生方、今、木戸さんのご発表聞かれて、何かお尋ねになられたいこととか、質問とかありましたら、いかがでしょうか。
では、
あ、
よろし
先生。
いですかね。訳していただいてもいいですか？
あ、木戸さん Can you translate to Japanese into Arabic, maybe?
Sure, sure.
あ
Please.
りがとうございました。それで、質問としてはですね、公民館の活動を、この日本と、エジプトで、実践、研究していく上での、その、学術的な背景といいますか、学術的な、なんていうかな、理論的背景、これを、どこにと言いますか、どういう理論的な背景、学術的理論的な、なんていうかな、背景を、のもとで研究を進めていけばいいか、なかなかちょっと、これまでの、その、なんていうかな、研究の中には、こういったものがあまりないんではないかと思うんですけれども、どういうふうな、これまでの、学術研究の成果を、どういうふうに応用していけばいいか、そのあたり、その点の、について、考えを教えてください。
ありがとうございます、小原先生。小原先生 is asking about, he knew that this model was based on the master research of myself. So he's asking about the academic and the basic of the thesis of this research that make us continue on this direction, and also the result of this research that we would like to do it on the ground, and also because they said it's something not regular to have this on the field. Okay. 英語で大丈夫ですか？
はい。回答は英語でも、はい。
はい、すみません。英語しかわからない方もいるので、英語多分皆さん通じると思います。
Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much. Okay, let me answer as far as I have in the experience. Actually, the basic of this research was benefiting the Japanese lifelong learning centers, lifelong learning concept in general. As I told in the beginning, our start point for this research that we don't have social education in Egypt. We have only adult education, and this adult education, it's an authority under the supervision of Cabinet Office, Egyptian Cabinet Office, and it's only the main concern is for the illiterate people. So the starting point of the search, the starting problem, how we can benefit a Japanese style lifelong learning concept, not a center. It doesn't have to be a center, but the concept and the way from the experience of Japan, how we can benefit this. That was I belong to the faculty to the Department of Comparative and International Education in the faculty. So we wanted to, with the supervisors, of course, Dr. Abdel Nasser and Dr. Sharif, we want to do a comparative study between Japan, about lifelong learning between Japan and other countries. But what we reached at the end to make a case study about Japanese lifelong learning and how we can benefit from this in Egypt. This is the first point, because at that time I told them I had a chance to go to Japan, so I might be visiting some of these centers. The main point is the method we use is an ethnographic research. So I want to not only to read the papers, I want to live as a community member in this coming camps and to observe myself what is the main, how the Japanese is doing this lifelong learning. The research was ethnographic research. It's a kind of comparative study. We are not comparing Egypt and Japan, but we want to benefit from the Japanese experience through the ethnographic research that it took 4 years or something. It doesn't finish quickly. It took a couple of years. And the result wasn't that much related to what we did in the TAC Kominkan, frankly speaking. The result of the research at that point in 2014 or something wasn't linked to the TAC Kominkan that we have now. The TAC Kominkan, the model we have now, it's actually development of many reasons happened after the research. So the research itself, it's not what I'm presenting now. The research, it was general findings, if I can say, from my observation, my deep observation to the Japanese Kominkan and working with the Japanese Kominkan, that became my partner later after the research. And we continue to develop the win-win relation to benefit Japanese Kominkan and to benefit in Egypt also. I hope I could answer the question.
小原先生、大丈夫だったでしょうか。
ありがとうございます。
大安先生。Hello.
Yeah, thank you very much, Guido-san, for your sharing. And I think the comments from Professor Cravala is very important. What is the backbone of this research? And I think social education in Japan is translated into adult and community education. So community education can be one of the academic areas we can look into. As far as I understand, there is rich experiences and discussions in Europe, for example. You know, the folk high school in Scandinavian countries, and Germany also has a similar kind of community learning space. And so this why we are going to compare between the Japanese Kominkan and Egyptian, as well as, if possible, European and Asian EFA-oriented community education is also, there is a difference. And I think we have a lot of research documentations about community education that can be one of the academic backbone we can think about when we have undertake this comparative studies between Egyptian initiative and the Japanese Kominkan. Certainly the nature of European type of community education and the Japanese education is different. One interesting resource is DBB International in Germany. They have done a lot for this community education and public financing, particularly the popular adult education. So this can be reference materials we can take a look. Thank you.
Yes, can you kindly explain again about the last sentence? You said in Germany,
DBV International.
The international.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's a German Adult Education Association.
German Adult Education Association.
Yes, yes. I am part of their research program on ESD for adult education now. It is participated by several German institutions and European countries, and also South Africa and Philippines and Japan. Yeah. So.
And that initiative is on mainly for focusing on ESD. How about GCED? Is it in the context of GCED too?
Well, that should be part of it. Yeah, to promote ESD, how we can incorporate the global citizenship mindset and not only knowledge, but practices and yeah, actions. So this implies, in my view.
Thank you very much for providing very good information. And I think in the context of the comparison between Japanese social education and the social education initiatives in Egypt, I think Carol Sensei from Okayama University, you're from another Western countries, and you may have some insights for this academic research. If you have any comments or
I'm not sure yet if I have anything. I had to step away from my computer. I had someone at the door. I'm sorry. So I missed some things. But it seems from my experience that many ESD programs do kind of leave GCED behind in some way. So I want to look up the German Adult Education Association and other programs to see, but I'm sorry, I don't know what to share at this point. I will keep listening.
Okay, I was a little bit curious about GCED connection to that Kominkan too, so that's why I asked that question. But anyway, later on, maybe in the discussion we can talk about this. So why don't we, okay, there was someone was raising a hand, sorry. I missed someone was raising questions.
Yes, it was me. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm Dr. Wala Asar from Ain Shams University Faculty of Education. Thanks for presentation, but it's my first time to attend with you. I have a question for Mr. Muhammad Abdelmajid. I have listened carefully for your presentation, but I have really very important question for me. I want to know the actual activities of the Communican centers in Egypt. I have heard your presentation, but I want to know what are the actual activities you have done under the umbrella of the Communican centers here in Egypt. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wale, for participation and for your question. Actually, we started this project at 2020. We opened the center. It was in the middle of Corona, of the COVID area. So we had done many online activities, mainly regarding it was the first implementation period. So we were talking about our social coordinators and how to raise them and to deliver the Japanese Kominkan concept and to think together about how we're going to move in which direction. So at that year, we were mainly focusing on the social coordinator raising activities. And as a result of this, what we learned, we asked them to implement it on the Kominkan. So they do the theoretical part, the case study part, the exchange with Japan, and then we ask them, everybody, whatever he wants to do as an event, he will do. So those 30 persons started to actually implement some activities. For example, one of the activities, they decide to paint the Kominkan. So we do a painting course. Paint and Cooperate. That was the title. The Miss Manel, I think she was us also. She prepared all the paintings. She arranged the team. She started to teach the people how to paint. That was some of the activities. We do kind of also food related activities. We gather to prepare food, to do some food, etc. We do a learning circle about translation. for the young second and third year student in faculty, the people who are studying Japanese mainly. So we do a kind of circle for them to increase their capabilities in translation, for example. We do kind of culture activities like origami, kendama, Egyptian handmade sewing. We also do kind of sharing experiences about traveling and studying abroad, including Japan. We do also Basant and Manel remind me. Recently, we are doing a math activity, math basics, not for the school curriculum, but for actually young kids, between 6 and 9. They understand the concept of the math in a funny way, not as a kind of workshops. We do also Arduino. It's a kind of technology coding activity workshops. We did some coding activities. Basant, if you have anything else, please. لو فاكرة حاجة يا بسنت.
I don't really remember much, but I remember also the origami workshops. The what else? You've already said lots of them, so I don't have much in mind. But yeah, the origami workshops, the sewing, the Japanese workshops, the food workshops, the yeah, that's what comes in my mind right now. I'm so sorry. I don't remember much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you, Dr. Ala.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad. But I want to know, what about the propaganda of all these beautiful products? What are you doing to advertise about yourself?
Okay. Actually, this is one of the discussion point today, how to promote the challenges facing the social education, how to promote our activities. Of course, so far, we register our company, our LLC model 2 months ago. So before this, we don't want to spread so much because of our capacity and also because of our official status. So we don't want to spread so much. But we normally use the Facebook, the word of mouth, of course, one of the main marketing tool for us is cooperating with the Faculty of Education. Because Faculty of Education, of course, have a great community that can have a much interest. So with the support of course, Professor Hazem, Professor Abdel Nasser, Dr. Ahmed Refat, we also, some of the activities after approval from the university, we do it with them and we market for them after the approval of the university. So this is so far. From now on, I think the marketing and the promotion of the activity, it's a very important challenge because that's related to the main question of Shibakawa-san, how we motivate the people to work after the school, join us after the working hours, voluntary, to improve themselves and to enjoy their lives. So this is a kind of great challenge. I am not saying that we could solve it.
Best regards. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You, Professor Hassan, you have a question?
Yeah, it's not a question actually. It is just some comments about what we have from our colleagues. I like the idea of having some studies which compare between what's happening in Germany, some Scandinavian countries, and so on. This is very important idea from my point of view. But I think it's very important to include the issue of teacher education or social education facilitator. This point is not clear or common in some countries like Egypt, like Pakistan, and third world countries as a whole. From my point of view, Jido-san has started his very good work because he has some initial experiences and some knowledge based on his visits to Japan and so on. But what about others who have nothing to start from? It's very important if we would like to reach something valuable which can promote sustainable development and CLCs and so on in many countries, to focus on how can we educate, how can we train, how can prepare these people who will be responsible for social education in these countries. This is my point of view.
Thank you very much. It's a valuable comment and to promote our collaboration research. And I guess maybe for this regard, our Dean, Mimura Sensei, may have some comment. Mimura Sensei.
ありがとうございます。
突然の質問すみません。ハセルさんから先ほどの公民館モデルですね。ギトさんの場合は、しっかり経験があって、それに基づいてのイニシアチブを取れているんですけれども、大学としてというか、エジプトとかいろんな国で、教師教育、それから社会教育の、問題点とか課題っていうのが、あってですね、そういったところを、ぜひこれから取り上げるべきではないかというようなコメントもいただいていましたし、私たちのその岡山大学教育学部としての、教師教育はもちろん一生懸命取り組みあると思うんですけれども、社会教育に対する、ビジョンのようなものっていうのを、先生の方からもし、ビジョンというか、今お考えになられていることとかあったら、ここでお伝えしたらいいのかなと思って、お聞きしています。
ありがとうございます。おそらく、岡山大学は、教員を養成しながら、社会教育っていうところにかなり、関わっているというか、融合しようとしているところだと思うんですけど、ただ、これはまだ、日本においても、まだまだこれからなのかなっていうところで、実際には、教員養成と社会教育っていうことを完全に、融合できるところまでは、まだ岡山大学としてもいけてないのかなっていうところがあるので、そういう意味でも、例えばあまりその経験のないそのエジプトとかが今度進められるときに、課題となっていることっていうのはきっと日本においても同じだと思いますし、そういうことをそのエジプトで進められる中で見えてくるものがまた私たち日本にもすごく参考にさせていただけるのかなというふうに思うので、ぜひそういうことを目指しながらの社会教育、教員養成っていうのを一緒に考えながら進めていければなというふうに思います。すいません、全然あれなんですけど。
わかりました。どうしましょうか。私がうまく訳せるかな。ギドさん。
はい。Okay. Thank you very much, Mimura Sensei. Mimura Sensei is saying that, of course, during raising the teacher education in Okayama University, also we had been cross-cut with many of the social education themes at that time. And also she's saying that in Okayama, we didn't so much started the teacher education for social education as a system. So we are also almost similar to Egypt in this regard. And that's why she's willing to cooperate on this regards for establishing a kind of teacher education for the social educators. Shibakawa-san, if I miss anything, please add.
I don't think so. You have done it perfectly. I totally agree with the statement that Mimura Sensei said that we should also focus on the integration of social education and the teacher education, and we are not yet reached to the starting point. We should do it together and then see the issues that we will face in the future, and then there will be some kind of hints for both of our countries.
Thank you very much, Shibakawa Sensei and Guido-san.
ありがとうございます。Thank you very much, Mimura Sensei. And shall we go on to the discussion theme number 1?
Yes, sure. Before we go to the discussion theme, I want to add something for what Professor Hazem kindly said and Mimura Sensei kindly said. I think also not only preparing the program, the social educator education program, it's important. It's also about how this program will be attractive to the people. So it's also related to the career, what they will work on, what if they will took this program. Teacher education, they know they will be working as a teacher, but their career should also be a kind of discussion, what they will work on if they will have this qualification. So the program itself and their future career related to it, this is very important. I'm sorry, that was also a point from my side. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Guido-san. Yes, shall we now use the Google document and do some discussions together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So firstly, we want to clarify the challenges of social education in Egypt and Japan. So in terms of planning, sustainability, and financing and monitoring, etc. But may I know about the situation in Egypt first?
Okay.
If you come up with any ideas and points that you should address in this topic.
Okay.
Sorry, can I ask a question, actually, Shibakawa-san?
Sure.
When we're talking about social education, can we talk about what we mean by that? It's a very big term, and I'm wondering, what does that include, and what does that look like when we are saying social education?
Carol Sensei, I think that's a very good question, because I always think about that question too, even though my major is in social education, because social education can be sometimes anything, like even in in the framework of formal education, there will be a social education, because in recent years or in these days in Japan, even at schools, they do some activities with the local communities. Then that includes social education. But for me, the translation of social education is that learning about society, learning for the society, and learning in the society. But if I am wrong, please correct Oya Sensei.
I think
It's a difficult question for me.
Yeah, it's difficult.
But it's a good question.
Any education activities outside of the formal education, that is so social education can be provided not only for adults. From the Japanese to English, it is translated into adult and community education. But social education includes the children's activity, students' activities outside of the formal education. So it's really complicated, I must say.
Is it only like informal education, or does it also include social education within the formal classroom?
Not in a formal classroom, I guess.
Not in the formal classroom. Okay.
Okay, but the school can provide the chance for social education because
Okay.
extracurriculars attached to the formal curriculums at school. And then
Okay. That's
yeah.
helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so we may define that some education activities outside of formal school, that can be the social education.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah, we have these problems when we talk about formal education and non-formal education and the informal education definition. So
Yes.
it's, yeah.
But that gives me a better idea. It's outside of the traditional classroom environment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And education about the society too.
Okay.
And education for building a good society too.
But can we not do social education in a class? Like if you're teaching about the society, is in like, for example, I teach ibunka rikai for pre-service educators, cross-cultural understanding. So, I mean, I don't, maybe there's so many definitions, I'm sure, of social education, but from my point of view, when I think of social education, I was thinking in my university classroom, I'm teaching about local and global issues and power dynamics and this kind of thing. So, so you're saying teaching about the society, but not in the traditional classroom environment? Okay, okay. Thank you. Sorry.
From my basic understanding also, it's institutional wise, we divide it into compulsory education, which is in the school representing mainly this, and the other institution that are in the same line but different, which is the community learning center and the community-based facilities. That's outside the school. So institution-wise, they are. We cannot say social education happening in the school, because this will be a kind of compulsory education or formal education. Sorry, not compulsory, formal education. But outside the school, that will be a social education, even for the kids, even for adults. That's from my basic understanding. Learning about society, it happens on the school, but we cannot say social education. But if this learning connected, as my experience in Okinawa, the Kominkan, the people working in Kominkan come to the school to introduce themselves and the activities they are doing to the school. So if this learning come outside the school, that will be a social education, as I understand.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry to sidetrack the conversation.
No, sorry. Okay, so
somebody is raising his hand, I think.
We can go back to the discussion theme number 1.
Okay, I think somebody is raising his hand, but
oh yes,
iPhone.
Oh, okay.
Please go ahead. iPhone. اتفضل اللي رافع ايده.
اسمح لي يا محمد اتكلم انا بعد اذنك.
اتفضل. مين حضرتك؟
انا شريف عبد الله المنصوري.
اهلا وسهلا يا دكتور شريف، اهلا وسهلا، اتفضل.
محمد انا عايز اتكلم بس في النقطه المهمه وفيما يتعلق بقى من وجهه نظري، يعني ان اكبر تحدي بيواجه فكره التعليم المجتمعي اللي هو من اسمه المجتمعي، من وجهه نظري يعني اول تحدي لازم يواجهنا هي فكره تغيير الثقافه الخاصه بالافراد بتوع المجتمع، وخاصه تغيير ثقافتهم فيما يتعلق بالعمل التطوعي، وتغيير ثقافتهم فيما يتعلق بالتعلم مدى الحياه. لانه لما بيجوا يعني حتى يعرفوا التعلم مدى الحياه بيعرفوه على انه في بدايته هو عباره عن فلسفه، وبالتالي فلسفه يعني مجموعه من المبادئ والمعتقدات اللي بيؤمن بيها الفرد. فاحنا محتاجين الاول نغير ثقافه الافراد فيما يتعلق بالامرين دول. اولا التعلم مدى الحياه اللي مرتبط بطبيعه مراكز التعلم المجتمعيه والهدف اللي بتسعى لتحقيقه، في نفس الوقت تغيير ثقافة الأفراد نحو مفهوم العمل التطوعي، إن مش شرط أي عمل لازم أقوم بيه لابد يكون ليه مقابل أو يكون ليه أجر عشان أقدر أقوم بيه. لا، في فكرة اسمها فكرة عمل تطوعي بعمله لخدمة المجتمع اللي أنا بعيش فيه واللي بنتمي إليه. شكرا يا محمد.
شكرا جزيلا دكتور شريف. دكتور شريف actually he's my dear supervisor in my research about the community learning center. Dr. Sharif is talking about the first challenge we could face on social education or community education is the changing of the culture of the people, the changing of the culture of the community regarding 2 points. The first point is the voluntary work. In general, the voluntary, how to do a voluntary work, not for example, money or for anything, but mainly for serving the community. The second point is the concept, the culture about the lifelong learning itself in the community, because lifelong learning, when we define it, we say it's a philosophy, it's a concept. So it's a kind of a group of beliefs, and it's a culture. So changing the culture in voluntary work and lifelong learning is the main challenge we are facing here. Thank you very much, Dr. Sharif.
Very much. So I'm kind of looking at the Google document, and in Egypt, challenges of social education is firstly, what is it? Firstly,
Changing the culture.
Changing
the culture of the community members regarding lifelong learning and voluntary activities.
So you mean culture is like almost the atmosphere, or what culture? Are you?
No, the mental, the people beliefs, the
mentality
culture as a belief, mentality. Yes.
I see. So may I know that is it a kind of negative word, or that not to involve with the community, or mentality of what or what level?
Okay. Okay, let me ask Dr. Sharif. دكتور شريف أكوا بتسأل حضرتك، بتقول لك هي انت حضرتك بتعني بيها ان هي يعني حاجه سلبيه، ان الثقافه او العقليه بتاعت الناس مش متقبله قوي، يعني ده نقطه سلبيه.
يس، نقطه سلبيه جدا عند بعض، او مش عايز اقول المعظم، يعني بعض من افراد المجتمع المصري ما عندهمش ثقافه العمل التطوعي، وما عندهمش ثقافه مفهوم التعلم مدى الحياه. دايما بيربط التعلم عنده بفكره الشهاده والحصول على شهاده، وزي ما انت عارف كده فكره المؤهل اللي بيحصل عليه الشخص، مش بيتعلم من اجل التعلم في حد ذاته يعني.
Yes, it's a kind of negative point because most of the people doesn't have the mentality or the beliefs to understand to do voluntary work, to continue the learning. For the learning, not for certificate or not for money or for whatever. So it's a kind of, I think Dr. Sharif is saying that the first thing we start on to convince the people that this is important, that what we're gonna do in these social activities is important, and all the people, most of the people accept it and do it. This is the first step to actually do the activity.
I see. I think I understand that point. So, so this is the biggest challenges in social education in Egypt. So my question is that, like Guido-san is in the presentation of Guido-san, there are many good fun, enjoyable activities at the promoted at the Thai community. I think it is because you need to attract many more people to the community firstly. But how about the issues of the communities or the local issues of the communities that we have to sometimes face? And we have to collaborate among the residents in the community. What will happen to the people when something like community problems happens? Like when the voluntary works are mostly like in terms of the disaster or in terms of course COVID-19. Do you or Thai model Kominkan will treat these problems or issues of the local community, or try not to avoid?
So far, of course, we cannot avoid this. So far, we didn't reach the level that we have a big community and we can be effective in actually affecting these people like the Japanese Kominkan, and because now we are focusing only on the model itself, a model of cooperation, of gathering, of learning together, and the content. I think the content that match this community, I think this will come after what we are doing now with Faculty of Education on institutionalize and do the system itself. So the content, I think it will come later, and a part of the social coordinator training is tackling the local activities and community activities and do a surveys and etc. So we didn't reach this point yet in our model.
I did not mean that in Japan we reached that level either, but we still have the same problems. We have to have so many fun activities as a lifelong learning center and to attract people, just to get connected and just to know that Kominkan is a good place, a good public place. But at the same time, it's a place for people to learn about the community and face the issues of the local community has, and in the future or when in a crisis, we have to have this kind of connection among the people, which can be supported or promoted by the usual or daily activities of fun-based activities, like maybe karaoke or music or drawing the pictures or many kinds of hobby activities. But this does not mean that these activities are meaningless. It's meaningful for people to get connected and to have a good relationship among the local residents. So this is what I meant in that question.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think the first thing is to build the bonds and to build the communication and the networking between the people regarding this. Japanese Kominkan and Egyptian Kominkan, and our model is different of the sites also. For example, as I know, Japanese Kominkan can be used as an evacuation place in time of disaster. But for example, our place is small learning space. It's an apartment. We cannot do evacuation, for example. But we can do give information about how to protect yourself, how to, for example, if it's a fire, if there's a fire, you can do something. We did actually courses about this last March in March 11th in the memory of the earthquake, the great earthquake. East Japan earthquake. So giving information about it, but not actually using the place as an evacuation place or a kind of this. It's in this matter, it's a kind of networking, how to deliver the information, the right information to the large number of people around the Kominkan.
Thank you for very good information. And another challenges of social education in Egypt, can you address?
Funding. The funding of the social education, as we my colleagues and my professors mentioned, we are kind of having the funding only for adult education is for the adult authority, and the people concerned in Egypt is the formal education and for their kids to go to the university, etc. But some people, as you just mentioned, look for maybe the Kominkan as a kind of fun activity, not the must to do it. So this affects the funding of the Kominkan. In Japan, we have a budget for the Kominkan. In Egypt, for the social education, it depends. And also my Dr. Hazem and the professors can explain about the budget and the financing problems of social education and community education and adult education in general. لو دكتور حازم أو دكتور أماني أو دكتور شريف أو دكتورة ولاء، يعني مشاكل التمويل لتعليم الكبار بشكل عام، تعليم الكبار والتعليم غير النظامي بشكل عام. لو حد
Can I speak?
Please, Dr. Hazem.
Yes.
Please, Dr. Hazem.
Okay. Financing or issues related to financial issues related to adult education is a very big issue. I think if we don't have a governmental financing for such activities, for such social education, it will be a big problem for activities of social education. But till we have such governmental support, social education should have its own income to have the sustainability that should be. I think your ideas that you have raised some minutes ago is just an example of how can we find the financial support depending on ourselves. I mean, by ourselves here, the community center or people who are responsible for the administration of the social education. And I think with some negotiations with the governmental departments and what you can say, clarifying that adult education is not just an education for having some qualifications or some certificates. I think we can find some ways with them to include social education in its broad meaning in the governmental plans for adult education. So I think we have to have the two paths, yes, in parallel. I mean, to depend on ourselves and to start discussions and negotiations with the governmental offices that are responsible officially for adult education.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hazem. I think Dr. Wala also want to add something. Please, Dr. Wala.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Muhammad. I think we can begin at the first for non-governmental financing as the first steps, so we can depend on self-financing. I have heard from you, from my last question to you, that you have products, and they are beautiful products that is adopted by Japanese culture. I have seen them actually to my trip to Japan, sorry. So you can, at the beginning, depend on self-financing. like making products by your efforts or the efforts of your participants, then market them in fairs, local fairs. During fairs, you can market yourself as an idea. You can market yourself as saying to others the importance of social education. During these conferences and during marketing yourself, you can find sponsors. Then when you spread yourself, of course, you will find the governmental financing at the last steps. From my point of view, self-financing is the first step, then you will find the governmental finance at the last. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wala. I want just to add something, and then I want to ask Oyasu Sensei, because I think he was saying he's working in project regarding the community finance or non-governmental financing for adult education. The point I want to say that of course governmental support it's very important for us at our model, but the initial idea for us is to actually build the model, because if we go without a complete model to a governmental support, maybe we will lose our the main core of what we want to do. We have many effects, but governmental support, of course, it will come. As Dr. Hazem and Dr. Wala said, we can both are okay, and for us, starting for self-financing, depending on our efforts at the beginning, and then when our model complete, we can go, of course, for governmental and other big fundraising for a kind of some issues. Thank you. Please, Professor Oyasu, can you inform us about this point, this challenge?
Yeah, thank you very much. This public financing is, I'm sending some link of the DBB study on this issue. The studies of countries in Asia and Africa and and Europe. And this is a common challenge that many governments support the literacy and training, but the government does not always support the this mass education. So this is some studies, including Japan. I contributed the Japanese part. So popular adult learning is less funded. That is a common challenge, and that will be discussed during the forthcoming International Adult Education Conference in Morocco in June, I understand. So I think this piloting in small scale and provide the evidence to the government is very useful approach. But this piloting should be linked with the policy level discussions. So that is the very important role for university or researchers and academics that bring the community experiences and voices to the policy makers. It cannot be done by the community people themselves, but some academics, they can support this. That happened in several countries in Asia also, like Thailand and Indonesia, and we can also think about the co-financing of the community and government, local government. In Matsumoto City in Japan is one of the good examples. They have autonomous kominkan in every community. So they have autonomous kominkan, and then they have the government funded kominkan. So that is the mutual learning between the government administrators, government staff, and also community people. The government staff can also learn from the community. So this kind of mutual learning and also the collaboration between the government and the community initiatives. So that can be a model. We cannot divide just, it's not a dichotomy of government or community, but it's starting from the community level initiatives backed by the researchers, and think about the staff development. For example, Thailand, there is no difference between the non-formal education teachers and formal education teachers. So they have the same qualification for the teachers. So they can work with the schools, and also at the same time, same qualified educators work with the community learning centers. So this way, we can think about how teacher education programs can be developed, curriculum of this teacher education can be developed. So there are some good examples. Please take a look of this publication and also some other case studies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Oyasu, for your deep insights for this point. Let me return back to the Google document. Okay, so Shibakawa-san, do you have any comments, or we can check for more challenges?
Well, if there's there are two big challenges in social education in Egypt, and then I think that's we should stop because we have many issues.
Okay.
Maybe as Japan, I think I don't know how to make it in the right order, but Oya Sensei, you should give me some comments too. But I think number one is how to attract the youth and busy working parents or busy generations like in the 30s and 40s. Or this is, I think, one big challenge in Japan. And number two is, I don't know, maybe how to face and tackle with the local and global issues is maybe the second. And the third is integration of teacher education and social education. But I want you to add any comments from Okayama side. Kawabara Sensei, if you have any comments on the challenges of social education in Japan.
はい。日本語でいいですか。さっき、三村先生もおっしゃられましたけれども、その教育学部がやっぱり学校教育中心なので、その学校教育とその社会教育をいかにつなぐかっていうところが、日本側にとって一番の課題になるように思ってるんですよね。ですから、その部分をそのエジプト側の関心とどうつなげていくかということが一番難しいところかなと私自身はここまでの話を聞いていて思いました。ただ、その日本の場合は、公民館が学校の範囲と重なってるんですね。ですから、すごくその学校教育と実は公民館を中心とした社会教育っていうのは、関連があるので、そういう意味では、 我々が我々の関心を、関心である学校教育と公民間の教育をつなげた上で、エジプトの、皆さんの関心に近づけていくっていうことはできるかなと思っています。ちょっと長くなって申し訳ないですが、柴川先生、趣旨としては大丈夫ですかね。
大丈夫だと思います。木戸さん、小原先生 thinks that first challenges of social education in Japan is how to integrate social education and teacher education. That means school education and social education. However, in Japanese school systems, we how to say our education system is kind of more synchronizing with the social education. So it is maybe in Japan, it's easier for the school to work with the social education. I mean, school education, working with the social education is easier. We have kind of sincerity, synchronizing part. Then how about the interest of you guys? I mean, you in Egyptian team can be close to our interest is another issue, but at least we have the common interest of integration of teacher education and social education. Then we can get kind of later on, how to say, one by one, closer to each other in the research process. What do you think?
I think for myself, if you ask my opinion, I think the point of intersection, as Kawabara Sensei mentioned, between our interest in Egypt, which is a kind of maybe a kind of basic for the Japanese experience. We are looking, for example, for the spreading the culture. We are putting institutionalizing the whole concept and funding it and sustaining it. And in Japan already the system is there. The system already there, and in Japan you are looking more in integrating the one system, which is the school education, and another system, which is social education. In Egypt, mainly we have mainly we have school education. This is the main concern for everybody, and very scattered activities of the social education. Let me connect with what Mimura Sensei said at the beginning, that teacher education for social as a social educators in Egypt and Japan. I think this is very important and goes with the goals of both sides to educate the people to be as a social educators. Also, Oyasu Sensei said a very important experience from Thailand, that there is no difference in Thailand in teacher education for school education and for social education, which will be close to our experience, our case in Egypt, but to add the speciality of social education, the speciality of the target audience, the speciality of the topics that we might discuss, etc. Yes, teacher education and social educator is the main intersection point. I agree. I totally agree. And I think also Dr. Amani was raising her hand from Egypt. Dr. Amani, تفضلي.
السلام عليكم. I think the challenges in Egypt are because of some reasons. I think there are a few programs for adult education in Egypt. There are a few specialized books for adult education. There are a few jobs to adult after their education. There are reasons, maybe challenges the adult education in Egypt. I can speed culture of the people to community by there are more books to adult education. There are more program to adult education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amani. Dr. Shibakawa, please.
I am sorry I could not catch up with the professor's opinion here, but as far as I understand that there is some good future theme, like teacher educators as social educators. I totally agree with you. And if I am allowed to continue to the next discussion theme, now I think this teachers as social education, or teacher educators as social education, which one is correct? I mean, teachers as social educators, right? Or teacher educators?
Teachers as social educators, I think.
Yes, teachers, right? Teachers as social educators. That could be a hint for the next discussion theme, the possibilities of and challenges of linking social and teacher education to the development of sustainable local communities. Because I personally believe that one teacher can make a big difference in someone's life, and in school education, I think there is a chance for one teacher to expand students' learnings to the local communities and the global world. I think the school also can be windows for the society, windows of the society, and Kominkan also can be windows for the residents to the wider society. So in that sense, I think teachers as social educators will be a good exploring point. I think there are many questions from the education side. So,
Dr. Hazem was raising his hand. Please, Dr. Hazem.
Yes, I would like to comment on the issue of attracting the new generation to social education, and also my comment is related to financing. I think we have an important element that should be considered if you would like to make something which will be common among us. This is the NGOs. NGOs, from my point of view, is a very, very important issue which should be included. They have a lot of work. They have a lot of people who are working with them, and they are targeting a lot of people. This is in all countries, but they, in most cases, they focus on supporting people with food, with medicine, something like this. But educational services is not under their priorities for some reasons. And I think if we involve them in something like this and expand their views, we can face a lot of challenges that we have discussed before.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hazem. I think Dr. Hazem, what he kindly mentioned now, he's linking the points we raised earlier about the jobs. So when the social educator graduated or finished his preparation, where he will work. So this is the first point. So it might be at the NGOs, one of the expected places, and also as a kind of supporting the community and knowing more the community through the NGOs. They know more the community more than maybe the governmental places and more than the researchers sometimes. Sorry, Dr. Amani also is raising her hand. One, please, Dr. Amani.
لا شكرا يا دكتور من المرة اللي فاتت شكرا.
طيب ما فيش مشكلة. Thank you very much. It was from the last time. Now we moved into the second discussion theme, which is the possibilities and the challenging of linking social and teacher education in the development of sustainable local. Is it okay, Shibakawa-san, to move to the second one? I think we already entered a little bit on it. What is the challenges, if I can say, or what is the possibilities of linking social educator and or social education in general and teacher education in the direction of sustainable development or the sustainable local community? If somebody from Japan, or we can start from Japan or Egypt, either ways, no problem.
No problem. Okay, may I ask Mimura Sensei about her opinion? Mimura Sensei.
Perhaps Mimura Sensei had to leave. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Carol Sensei, Carol-san, Dr. Carol was raising her hand, I think.
If no one else has a comment, something that I keep thinking about from my perspective is which education, which social education, whose education, whose program, how are we deciding what is being taught? Because I think one of the biggest issues is, the goal of the kominkans and the social education seems to be teaching about local issues, learning about in society, but whose society? I'm wondering, like, how are these programs developed and whose voices are being listened to in the development of these programs? Is it the dominant voice? The people who have dominant, whoever is the dominant in Egypt and Japan is different, the Japanese male, for example, here. Or is it a woman or LGBTQ or Korean Zainichi in the Japanese context? So for me, I think an important question is whose voices are being listened to in the creation of these programs? Sorry, that's all.
Thank you very much. If anybody can think and discuss the point that Dr. Carol said, please.
I think this is another possibility of the social education and teachers as social educators, Carol Sensei, because I understand and I see the weak point of Japanese education is here, that what you said in this question, that whose voices are being listened in the creation of these programs. In Japanese school systems, I think we are kind of lack of this aspect, and I think we should focus on these issues too. But since the Japanese school systems are kind of rigid already, but there is a chance of social education to break through this system and to transform the contents of or curriculum of the school's education in Japan. So I think raising or nurturing the teachers at our Faculty of Education or in any teacher education institutions as a social educators is very important, and have a possibility to transform the atmosphere of this Japanese school system. And they can be the, again, windows for the students to that is open to the wider society. And also not only the windows, but it can be, microphone to pick up the voices haven't been listened for these years. So I think we are not yet decided who is the target for this program, but I'm sure that we can include or we should include the voices unheard before. That's my personal opinion. So.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it's just something we should keep in the back of our mind, and like who is developing the program basically, and what does it consist of? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important point. When the local government finance Kominkan or learning centers, so they use our taxpayers' money. So that should be a public, and so in a way, government prepare some kind of content to deliver. For example, in the Okayama Kominkan, as far as I know, that there are two kinds of activities. One is Kominkan oriented, this government oriented program, and the other is learning circles oriented programs. So learners can develop their own programs, but the government has certain core issues like child care or health issues that government want to deliver. So if it is financed by the government, then the government policies and directions should be included. But if it is totally financed by the local community, they have their own agenda and flexibility to organize the programs. So how to balance these two, that is important issue to think about. And in the case of Egypt, I think we have to define what's the function of the Kominkan. In community learning centers, we have defined in Asian kind of framework that one is education and training, and second is information and communication. Third one is community development, and the fourth one is networking. So networking, we involve the NGOs with expertise and other government, other sectors. And education training is more basically supply oriented, but community development is more need-based and community oriented programs. And then this communication information facilitates the linkage. So how we define the functions of the community. And Kominkan in Japan as a challenge, we have how to catch up the technology advancement. For example, ICT under the COVID pandemic, many Kominkans cannot use the online programs at the beginning. So how to catch up the modern technology and movement. So that is some of the challenges, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sensei and Carol-san. Let me tell you also something I want to add regarding the challenges in Egypt regarding this point. In Egypt, in 2018, we started a new curriculum 2.0, named Education 2.0 in the school education. This is a Western-based curriculum, and it is more like skill-based. It targets 14 skills for the kids, starting from KG till now we are reaching the 4th grade. And it is more multidisciplinary at the first 3 years, and it's more the project-based learning. So the kids are asked in the school to do many projects. At the beginning, when they announced it, I was very delighted, because this is actually what we do in the Kominkan. So this is might be a kind of intersection point, because the learning of the school to do it or link it with the community in a kind of project or something, that is what's actually happening on the Kominkan. We turn the school learning into something real. So I think this might be a point of linking, a possibility of linking to continue or build on what the teacher is doing in 2.0 in Egypt, in the school, for the Kominkans like centers to continue to know more about, for example, water, but in a multidisciplinary way through the community, for example, pollution, etc. So the topics of 2.0 can be supported at the social education. This is the first point. The challenge on us on this, the burdens on the teacher. If the teacher will be a social coordinator, he already is very overwhelmed with he doesn't have time because of his many activities at the school, and his salary, and he also why he will do this after the school. This is also, it's not related so much with what he will gain or what he will do. It will be an overwork. But just an idea, it will be a good chance for the new teachers, actually. The new teachers who want to train themselves more, to gain more of teaching skills. Kominkan and these activities might be a place that support the raising of the teachers outside the school, near his house or near his home. So new teachers can learn in practically how to be a teacher through these projects to support his original work at the school. This is one point. The second point is the experienced teachers. We have experienced teachers, of course, as you know, but they get bored from what they are doing. They are doing this several years, same content without any change, so they reach a satisfaction point. They don't go further. So linking this school education with the social education will give the teachers more possibilities to know more, to teach in a different concept. So these 2 points, I think it might be the link somehow in Egypt between school education and social education. Thank you. I think Dr. Wala also want to add something. Please, Dr. Wala.
Yes, I want to assert on your point about the new curriculum of 2.0. After having 2.0 from 2018, we have a very important point inside the content of the curriculum, which is Tokatsu activities. I think it's bringing up children for the volunteer work. So when we're bringing up children to have volunteering work from the beginning of the age, it will be fine to participate in social work after that by volunteering. This is about the culture of volunteering we have mentioned before. Also for the education for the students at universities. We have also bringing up the volunteering work when we have the graduated students in order to help in solving the literacy problem by educating some adult for those who don't take any education before. So we are trying to bringing up volunteering spirit from now. It will take many years, I know, but we have the first step. This will help in social education as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wala. Dr. Amani, please. Actually, also, I'm so sorry to say, but we already exceeded our time, and we just went through the 2 points of discussion. So after Dr. Amani, we'll discuss to finish as soon as possible. Please, Dr.
Yes.
Amani.
Yes, Doctor. Teacher needs support to learn new patterns and strategies of thinking to teach students this new curriculum. They need more training program to teach the new curriculum. They need strategies for teaching. They need methods for teaching because they lose more strategies to teach the new program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amani. I think yes, we totally agree with your kind point and with Dr. Wala kind point that with the new education reform in Egypt in the school education, I think it might come closer to linking it with the social education and the education and learning outside the school for everyone, including students. I'm so sorry. We exceeded already our time, Dr. Shibakawa, and we didn't reach the 4 discussion points for today. We only reached the second one. Dr. Shibakawa, everyone, Dr. Hazem. I think today was very useful. Today it's very useful discussion, I believe.
We have enough and very good content, and we have to summarize it into something. And hopefully we can, how to say, from this next school fiscal year, we can start some, how to say, co-research program or co-research project proposal, a kind of proposal based on today's discussion. And I think we already have a good good topics to explore more. So I hope that we can have another chance in maybe later in April or sometime.
Dr. Hazem, your kind opinion, if we can do a 4th webinar to continue the discussion?
I have no problem, but I think from my point of view, all of us, most of us, focus on the link between teacher education and social education. This is the absent element in all of our communities, our systems. So we can start from this point, and I'm open to have another session in April to add more common, what you can say, common interests to this point. But this is what I have concluded, and I'm speaking about myself. This is what I have concluded. This is a very important point for all of us, how to make this link between teacher education and social education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hazem. I'm also totally sorry that we didn't hear the voice of Dr. Ghulam Fatima, Dr. Fatima from Pakistan. Please, we would like to hear your voice and give us your remarks and opinion.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Abdul Majid. I am very happy to have a very fruitful discussion with the friends, with the colleagues from Ancient University and Okayama University. And I am personally very much thankful to Professor Hazem, who has given me this opportunity to be a part of this very healthy discussion. And we are in the phase of planning to start Pakistani Kominkan, as I've written in the chat box, very soon. And the discussions are going on with the Vice Chancellor. And your guidance, your cooperation will be needed in this regard. because it's a very healthy thing. It's a very great concept which I have got from Ancient University and Okayama University, and inshallah we will be coming back with very good things, very improvements, developments in this regard. I want to make a request that is it possible to share the email addresses of all the colleagues to have some discussions through email, or can we make a WhatsApp group regarding discussions to discuss certain issues or to find guidelines? It's my humble suggestion. If you may please be consider this. Thank you very much, all the friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Totally agree with you.
Thank you very much. Of course, yes, please let's exchange the emails and keep discussing on the through the emails between the webinars also. I'm very happy with today's discussion. Personally, it was very fruitful, and I think this is a very concrete steps we took today for achieving the original purpose of this academic dialogue in doing some co-proposals to do some joint researches with the support of course, Faculty of Education at Ain Shams University and Faculty of Education Okayama University and all the professors and attendees today. I will leave the final comments from Dr. Shibakawa, and thank you very much for attending today.
Thank you very much. I have nothing to add, but I'm really looking forward to the next webinar or talking session near future. And then hopefully we can start the collaboration research together among those countries together. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, the picture, the last picture.
Oh,
Some people left already. Next time, no problem. Some people are left already, and we are late. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
See
much.
you next time.
See you next
Okay.
time.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
小原先生、ありがとうございます。